Hey you guys, what's up? In today's video, I'm going to be testing out the brand new KVD Vegan Beauty Shake Primer. I recently got sent this and I used it on my Instagram in like a mini tutorial, and a lot of you guys wanted to know my thoughts on this primer, but I've only tried it like one time and it was just in a super quick tutorial, so I don't have much thoughts on it yet, but today I'm going to be trying it out again, and I'm going to be using the Shake Primer on one eye, and then I've seen a lot of people curious about how this would work on the face as well, since it is like a super concentrated primer. So I'm also going to test this out a little bit on the face, even though it's technically an eyeshadow primer. So really quickly, before we get started, I would really appreciate it if you would give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you're not already. Also, I'm doing a huge giveaway right now that's going to be ending soon, so make sure you guys go and enter that. And then I'm also doing a huge giveaway on my Instagram page where I teamed up with V&A Strick to give you guys like some amazing prizes. So I'll have both of those giveaways linked in my description box below. And also make sure you guys have your notifications turned on. That way you don't miss out on any of my future uploads. All you have to do is click the bell next to the subscribe button, and then you'll receive a notification every time I upload a new video. And yeah, let's go ahead and get started. All right, so this is the Shake Primer. It is a high impact eyeshadow primer. I did throw away the outer box that this came with because I wasn't planning on doing like a review on this, so I already tossed the box. So I'll just be reading off the website about this. So the price of this primer is $22. It says it is an invisible vegan eyeshadow primer for everyone. It's formulated for all finishes. It says it unlocks true color and extends wear in a first of its kind bi-phase liquid formula. Wow, this sounds very interesting. While traditional cream eye primers muddy the color and aren't universal, Shake Primer is designed to give all eyeshadow colors, finishes, and formulas true color payoff of wet brush application. I'm not sure what that part means about the wet brush application, but that's interesting. It says, without glazing or ruining your eyeshadows, this small but mighty bottle contains a concentrated elixir of only essential ingredients, so it's not weighed down by binders or fillers, and it's free of silicone, alcohol, and talc. It says that one drop is all you need for both eyes, but I'm only going to be using it on one eye today, so I'll just use one drop for that eye. So as I said at the beginning of the video, I am going to also be trying this out on my face. I'm not going to put it all over my face. I'm going to do one half of my face, and I just want to see if this really helps any kind of makeup like stay on longer. So I'm going to be going outside in a little bit and get some sunglasses. So I think I'm going to put some of the primer right here on one side, and we'll see if it helps keep like my concealer and foundation on, because that's like the true test if your sunglasses do not remove your makeup. The only reason I want to use it on the face is because I have seen a lot of people asking like whether or not you can use this on the face. So I'm going to try it out and let you guys know if it works, even if it's technically not a face primer. All right, so I went ahead and pulled my hair back. We're going to use this on the face first. So I want to kind of show you guys a close-up of the bottle here. So as you can see, the top part is a clear liquid, and then down here at the bottom there's like this black like jelly like substance, it almost looks like. And then when you shake it up, they kind of mix together and it becomes like one color, but then it does slowly start separating again. So I'm gonna go ahead and shake this up so it's all mixed together. And then the top does unscrew. And then there is this little like dropper thing right here. So I'm going to drop out one little drop. It's so weird that it's black. It feels like water. And I'm just gonna put it in the places that my makeup tends to come off on my face. So like right here on my cheek area and on my nose. And then I'm also going to bring it up like where I would have sunglasses. And then I usually lose makeup or it sinks into my smile lines right here. So I'm going to put a little of this along my mouth right here. And then I am just going to put just a little bit on the forehead, just so I have it in a few different places on the face. So I am gonna let this dry down a little bit, and then I'm gonna go in with some foundation. So for foundation, I'm gonna be using my current favorite foundation, which is the ColourPop Pretty Fresh Foundation. I have an entire review video, wear test with this foundation. I'll have it up here in the cards for you guys if you wanna watch that. So I'm just gonna start on the side of my face that does not have the primer, just because I feel like the primer needs to dry down just a little bit more. All right, now I'm gonna go ahead and apply on the primer side. So I don't know if I'm seeing like this correctly, but I feel like on the primer side I look less red like where I put that primer, and then on this side I feel like my redness is kind of like showing through a little bit. It's almost like the primer like really like locked the foundation on in that part, and made it like stick better. But other than that, I don't really notice a difference between the two sides. All right, so now that my foundation is completely on, I don't really notice a difference between the like unprimed side and the prime side besides right here on my cheeks. Other than that, they pretty much look exactly the same. I think the true test is gonna be whether or not my makeup sinks into my smile lines on the prime side versus the unprimed side. So now I'm gonna go ahead and finish off the rest of my like face makeup, and then we'll come back and prime the eyes and do some eyeshadow. All right, so now it is time to move on to the eyes. I'm gonna be using the Shake Primer on this eye. This is the same side of the face that I used it on the actual face. And then on this eye, I'm not gonna do anything. I'm just going to leave it as is. So I'm gonna go ahead and shake this up again, and then I'm going to take just one drop. I think I'm just gonna go on my finger, and I'm just going to pat this on. I can definitely see how you would only need one drop for both eyes, because a little bit of this definitely goes a long way. So for eyeshadow today, I'm going to be using the ColourPop Flutter by palette. I always love ColourPop's eyeshadow, so I figured this would be a good brand of shadows to use for like testing out a primer, just because I know that I already like the shadows. So I'm going to first start out with a dark shade. I'm going to start with this eye without the primer, just so this eye can like dry down a little bit. And I'm just going to start by packing this kind of on the outer corner. And then I'm gonna go in just a little bit with it. Normally when I do my eyeshadow like darkest to lightest, I always use like a thick base. Like I'll use my P. Louise base because it's really like tacky, and that helps the dark shadows like really stick on to your lid. So this is interesting that I'm doing my eyeshadow like this without using a primer on this eye, so I'm curious how this is gonna turn out. All right, so this eye has dried down a little bit. It is a little bit tacky, which I like. So I'm gonna do the same thing on this eye. Yeah, immediately, I feel like the color actually does look a little bit more pigmented when I'm first patting it down. I did have to dip back in a few times on this eye to build it up to how like this one looks. And because the base is tacky, I feel like this is not really going to go anywhere. Wow, this is really interesting. I did try it out the one time for that quick little Instagram video, but I wasn't really like thinking about it, I guess, when I used it. Like I didn't have any issues with it, but really like putting it to the test now is pretty interesting. So now I'm going to take a little bit lighter of a brown, and I'm just going to blend this into the crease. Yeah, the pigmentation is not as good doing eyeshadow like this without a primer, for sure. I never do my eyes without a primer, so this is super weird. I feel like this shade is looking a little patchy right in here, when normally it wouldn't, because I've done this look quite a few times with this palette and I've never really had that happen. But once again, I always use a base. All right, so I'm gonna do the same thing on this eye. Let's see how this applies. So it's definitely going on. It looks like a little bit more pigmented, but I feel like it's still kind of blending out the same. Like I'm personally not noticing much difference, but let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Do you guys see a difference between the two eyes, like when I first apply this shade? So here's where we're at so far. Honestly, like when you're doing an eyeshadow look from darkest to lightest, it looks a little bit crazy until like the very end. But I do actually feel like this eye does look more pigmented than this eye. So now I'm gonna take this kind of like light mauve-y shade, and I'm just gonna blend this right above. I just realized that I started on the primed eye first this time. All right, now I'm gonna do the same thing on this eye. So before I cut my crease, I do want to kind of compare both of the eyes. So I definitely feel like the side with the Shake Primer looks a lot more pigmented. I feel like you can also kind of see the color separation a little bit more from the darkest to the medium and then to the lightest shade. Where on this side, I feel like everything is kind of like just muddled together at this point. So far I'm pretty impressed with the Shake Primer, but now I'm gonna go ahead and cut my crease off camera, and then we're gonna come back and apply some shimmery shades to the lid. So now I'm gonna go ahead and apply a shimmery shade all over the lid, and I'm just gonna use, I think I'm just gonna use like one shade just because I wanna apply the primer on the other eye and see how the shade looks with the primer. So this is just like your typical champagne type of shimmery shade. Nothing too crazy or special about this shade. So now I'm actually going to take a little bit of the Shake Primer, not even like a full drop, and I'm going to pat this everywhere that I cut my crease. And we're gonna see if this helps the shimmery shade. So I let this kind of dry down for a sec, and now I'm gonna apply the same shade all over the lid. So to be honest, I don't really notice a difference between the lid shade on either eye. It just does look a little bit, not like watery, but it does look like a little bit wet on this eye just because the primer is so watery. But I wonder if because I use the primer on this eye, it's really going to help keep it from transferring up into the crease. All right, so now that my lids are done, we're going to go ahead and move down to the lower lash line, and we're going to take this whole primer thing a little bit further. I'm going to be taking the Shake Primer again, and I just wet this little brush, and I'm going to kind of pat this along the lower lash line to see if this helps down here as well. I haven't seen anybody do that, but we're gonna try it. All right, so starting on the unprimed eye, I'm gonna take that kind of dark maroonish brown that I put up here in the outer corner, and I'm gonna kind of connect it and go about halfway in. And I'm just gonna kind of blend along the other two shades I used in my crease along the lash line. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and apply some mascara, and then I will be right back. All right, so here are both eyes complete. Honestly, I don't notice that much of a difference between the two eyes. I feel like if anything, the shadows on this side are just a little bit more pigmented, and they did go on a little bit better. Where I really noticed a difference between the two was on the lower lash line. I don't know if you guys are gonna be able to tell, I really hope you can, but I always start with like the darkest shade and then blend out with the lighter shade. And I feel like on this eye, the darker shade stayed where it was when I was blending it out with the other shades, whereas on this side, it kind of started to fade away a little bit. So yeah, other than that, I feel like they look pretty similar. I'm really curious how they're both gonna wear throughout the day. So yeah, I will be back in a little bit to give you guys an update and let you guys know how this primer is working. All right, you guys, so it has been a couple of hours now. The only makeup that I have touched up is my lip product, and that's because I'm just wearing like a lip tint. I'm wearing the ColourPop Just a Tint like lip pencil. So yeah, I haven't touched up any of my other makeup, and honestly, I'm pretty impressed with the primer, I'm not gonna lie. So looking at my smile lines, my foundation did slightly go into this smile line. I'll probably bring you guys up close in just a second, or I'll just put it over me talking. So my foundation did kind of like crease a little bit here in my smile line on the unprimed side. And then on the prime side, it did not go into my smile line like at all. And then I also feel like the foundation is wearing better right in this area with the primer, whereas on this side it's a little bit more red and like kind of starting to come off around my nose. And then I was wearing sunglasses, and this is the unprimed side, and I don't know if you guys can see that, but right here you can see where my sunglasses was, and on this side it is coming off a little bit, but it's not as bad as the other side. There's just like a slight mark. So my makeup did definitely hold up better on the primed side. And then as for the eyeshadow, I feel like this side definitely just looks more pigmented, and I don't know, I just personally like this side better. I like the way that these shadows came out. And then I feel like on the unprimed side over here, this shimmery shade is kind of transferring up into my crease a little bit, where I didn't like prime, because remember on this side I did put the primer down before I applied the shimmery shade. So yeah, honestly, I am pretty impressed. I feel like it definitely works, and if you're someone who doesn't like a thick primer for your eyeshadow like this, like the P. Louise base, then you're probably gonna really like this, especially if you need your makeup to last all day, but you wanna do like a natural eye look. And this is a clear primer, so you're not gonna have to worry about like any kind of like cakey eyeshadow base, because sometimes a thicker eyeshadow primer like this one can make your eyelid look a little bit cakey. But this one obviously doesn't do that. It really just feels like water. I really can't believe how good this worked. I had tried it out one time before today, and today I'm really glad that I put it to the test, especially on the face as well. And I really feel like this little tiny bottle is gonna last a really long time, because you only need like the tiniest amount. So I wanna just tell you guys, because I don't think I've seen anybody mention this, but I saw people asking about this. There is 5 milliliters or 0.17 fluid ounces in here, and the price of this is $22. So yeah, this is a really really good eyeshadow base. I will keep you guys updated with how I'm liking this eyeshadow base, but for now I am really liking it, so I would recommend it, and I feel like the price is pretty good for what you're getting considering you only need like a tiny amount of this. So yeah, I hope you guys all enjoyed today's video. If you did, please make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you're not already. Also, make sure you guys check out those giveaways that I mentioned at the beginning of today's video. Some of them are going to be ending soon, so you don't want to miss out on those. And also make sure you guys have your notifications turned on so you don't miss out on any of my future videos. All you have to do is click the bell next to the subscribe button, and then you'll receive a notification every time I upload a new video. And yeah, I will see you guys in my next video. Thank you so much for watching.